Fine. Hi, and welcome to In the Crease with Karl Moeglein. I'm Karl Moeglein. Really shocking, isn't it? Welcome back. We've been on a pretty long hiatus due to the NHL hiatus. Makes some sense. And I just want to get you guys all ready for the season with my own NHL preview show. We can now get started. Just telling you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through all the conferences, all the teams, give you my personal playoff picture in this shortened season. I will also go through every major award. Look for who you really should look for in the big awards, such as the Hart and Calder, and as well as giving you my pick for Stanley Cup champion of the world, even though it's just the Stanley Cup champion, but really, who cares? Alright, shall we get started? And I'm going to start us off with the Atlantic Division in the Eastern Conference. This includes 5 teams, 4 of which who are quite incredible. The teams are the Devils, the Penguins, the Rangers, the Flyers, and the Islanders. I have the Penguins winning this division. I feel like they are too strong to be stopped. And with only 48 games, how many of those games can Sidney Crosby miss? 48. But still, I feel like they were a really strong team without Sidney Crosby last year. I think he's going to be healthier this year. As we go down the list, I think the Devils are going to take the second spot. They were in the finals last year. They were on an upswing. Brodeur probably has a year left in him, and this is that year. On my third spot in this division goes to the Rangers. And this is a team that was first in the conference last year, so this could be a team that could easily surprise me and go higher than they are, which really wouldn't surprise anybody else. And then the Flyers. This is the 4th team in the division, and this is also the 4th team in this division I find making the playoffs, which means that this division would account for half the playoff teams. This is a Flyers team that is made the playoffs the last few years. They are tough, gritty, and built around Scotty Hartnell, a great player and good point scorer. And as we continue on, the Islanders, I do have last in that division. Pardon me. As we continue on now, the Northeast Division, staying in the Eastern Conference, I've got the Senators winning that division. This is a Senators team that was in the 7 seed, I believe, last year. 7 or 8. And they, before, had not been in the playoffs for a couple years. They were in the finals in 2007, but still, they've kind of been a disappointment the last few years. But led by Erik Karlsson and Milan Mihalik, they are really kind of on an upswing. And I feel like this will take them to the number 2 seed in the playoffs. Then the Bruins are my second team in this division, and I also have them making the playoffs. This is a team that is going to hurt without Tim Thomas, who is leaving for family matters. And Tuukka Rask is a great goalie, but I just don't know if he really is Tim Thomas. Zdeno Chara is getting older. Tyler Sagan's probably going to get a suspension. So, it's not great. Third, and not making the playoffs, I have the Sabres. Don't think they're good enough. Don't think Ryan Miller can carry them that far. Canadians behind them, they're just awful. It's just a fact. Actually, I have the Leafs at 5, but I think the Canadians probably could be worse. They have it in them. Canadian teams are just... the Canadian teams are lucky they have the Senators this year. Other than that, they're not going to have a great year. Now we go to the Southeast Division, a division of teams that are less wonderful. We'll go with that. This includes the Capitals, Winnipeg, Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Florida. Well then, I had a really hard time picking this division when I was looking at it. I felt like Washington probably had more firepower, but I was looking at their depth charts, and I just saw Braden Holtby sitting at their 2 goalie, and Michael Nurvin sitting at their 1 goalie, and I'm just sitting there going, what the heck are they doing? And that's why I have Florida winning the division over Washington. Florida is a lot of no-names. It's a lot of players that not every fan's going to know. They're led by Scott Clemmenson in net. He's a veteran goalie. He's a good goalie. And I think that this is a team that doesn't need the spotlight to shine. And the Capitals have this big spotlight on them. And I have the Capitals making the playoffs. But I have them making the playoffs really low. And I just don't feel like the Capitals can live in that spotlight of the big city, of Ovechkin, of that whole thing. I have below sitting them, I have Winnipeg. And I love this Winnipeg team, but they're still not going to make the playoffs. They're going to be like the 10 spot or so. They just don't have that power, that goaltending, everything. I just feel like they won't do it. Tampa Bay behind them. Love Steven Stamkos. Hate the rest of the team. Yes. And then Carolina should be the bottom feeder in this division. I mean, they have not gone anywhere since a playoff appearance, I believe, 3 years ago. And before that, it has now been 7 years since they won the Cup. The year after the last lockout. Alright, that was my Eastern Conference picks so far. We will be right back with my Western Conference picks after this quick break. You're listening to In the Crease with Karl Moeglein on Spreaker.com. Hello and welcome back to In the Crease with Karl Moeglein. I am just here to remind you that if you have any questions for me, you can leave them in the chat box, as well as you should definitely follow National Sports on both Facebook and Twitter. Find us on YouTube. And just, if you like us, tell your friends. We always love the viewers. Alright, now into the Western Conference. The fun one. The West one. Shocking. Alright, going into it, we have the Central Division. This is a pretty wide open division. I say they're not the strongest division. They have multiple teams that can win. I just don't think they're going to win everything. Alright, so I have St. Louis taking this division. St. Louis. Wow, that sounds odd to say. You know, they were good 10 years ago, but they haven't been good in a while. Except, last year they were the second seed, and they really should have been first. They are a great team. I like St. Louis to win the Central. Then behind them, I have Nashville. The Predators with Pecorine. Get those European goalies confused. Pecorine in net, leading them. Shea Weber on defense. This should be a very solid unit behind them. So I feel like they can come into the playoffs. Behind them, this is going to be quite a shock to many. I have the Blackhawks and then the Red Wings. Both of those teams I do not have making the playoffs. I think the Red Wings are too old. I don't think they can do anything without Lidstrom. And their goaltending is just not strong enough with Jimmy Howard right now. The Blackhawks, on the other hand, just cannot keep coasting off of Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews. They are basically just scoring to try to make it in. Their goaltending is just not strong enough. And at the bottom of there, I have Columbus, the Blue Jackets. They would be lucky if they get more. They probably could get as many wins as they have fans all season, which for most teams would be great if you have more than 6 fans. That would be helpful. The Blue Jackets have had all-time season low ticket sales this upcoming season, because they were going to have the All-Star game this year. It was supposed to be this big thing, have all these fans come to Columbus, bring hockey back, and they also lost Rick Nash. They are not going to do anything. Yay. Alright. The Northwest Division. This division is a kind of a rebirthing division. Because, okay, so this division has Vancouver and Minnesota and Calgary and Colorado and Edmonton. There's a lot of young teams on this. And there's also Vancouver, who has made 2 conference finals in a row, was in the Cup. Not 2 conference finals. 2 President's Cups. in a row, top team in the NHL in the regular season, great team. They're probably going to actually have good goaltending, so they'll use Corey Schneider, which they should. But with all of that said, Minnesota is going to win the division, and I'm going to tell you why. They have big acquisitions, and they have a big fan base. Minnesota is where hockey is. You go there, and you just feel hockey. You know people, they play hockey. I have cousins there. They play hockey. It's just hockey. The fan base is there, and Zach Parise is home. Ryan Suter is near home. Those two players are going to give this team life again. And I'm going to just say that I feel like Minnesota will have an incredible season. Incredible, at least conference finals. Behind them, I do have the Canucks in it too. Still, they should be a good team. They just won't be as good as the Wild. Then I have Edmonton behind them. The Oilers. Yeah, I'm still kind of wondering why I did this too. But they have the last 3 first picks. So, if anything, they'll be fun to watch. They should score a ton. Stick those 3 on a line. See what happens. Sounds fun. I have the Avalanche, just missing the playoffs behind them. Good team, not great team, won't make the playoffs. Enough said. Then I have Calgary. They're Calgary. They are not a good team. They are old. Jerome McGinley will make like 10 goals, 15 goals. Actually, no, it's a shortened season, so make that 7 goals or 5 goals. He won't score a ton. That brings us to our final division of the night, the Pacific Division. This involves the Los Angeles Kings, the Phoenix Coyotes, the Anaheim Ducks, the San Jose Sharks, and the Dallas Stars. Fun division. Always got a good amount of good teams playing well. Last year they had 2 teams in the conference finals, 3 teams who made the playoffs. Good division. I do have the Los Angeles Kings winning this division this year. They're coming off the Cup Championship, and Darryl Sutter is still their coach. And when Darryl Sutter is your coach for the first 3 seasons, you do well. Which means I have 2 more seasons of Los Angeles actually playing well before something happens. But for this season, I do have them winning the division. I have the Sharks second in that division. This is their last good season. If they do not do something in the offseason, the Sharks will not make the playoffs next season. This season, they can make it. But Thornton's too old, Marlowe's too old, Couture and Pazelski cannot carry this team, and Niemi is not good enough goaltending. They are a good team, make the playoffs team, lose in the first round team. Alright, next I have the Phoenix Coyotes coming in third in this division. I love the team. I don't know this team. Alright, I like this team. I like Mike Smith. I like Mike Smith a lot. I like Shane Doan for coming back to this team, for showing his loyalty. And I like that Glendale tried to keep this team so much. And I think that the Coyotes are trying to show that they're a good team now. Alright, below them, the Stars. In fourth, they won't make the playoffs. They'll be like 12 or so. They won't be great. And the Anaheim Ducks, who I think probably could be the worst team in this conference other than Columbus. They are pretty bad. Their goalie, Jonas Hiller, is a good goalie, but other than that, they really just can't do anything. I think they'll have at least 1 or 2 of their top players traded by midseason. Alright, now I'm going to run over my seeding for the playoffs for these teams. Alright, go back up to the Eastern Conference. I got the Penguins taking the first seed, that Penguin team out of the Atlantic Division. Out of the Northeast, the Senators in third. Out of the Southeast, the Florida Panthers in third. Going back up to the Atlantic for 4 and 5, there's the Devils at 4, Rangers in 5. 6 comes from the Northeast, the Boston Bruins. Good team. What I said. Tim Thomas, gone. Rask, in. Good enough. Alright, back up to the Atlantic for number 7 with the Philadelphia Flyers, the Broad Street Bullies. Let's see what they can do. And down for the final seed in the Southeast Division, the Washington Capitals. That sounds weird. Ovechkin will get him to the playoffs. We'll get them out of the playoffs by the first round, but you know. Down to the Western Conference, and this is also my President's Trophy winner, the St. Louis Blues. I'm going to go down to the Pacific for my 2 seed in the LA Kings, which only leaves the Northwest for the 3 seed with the Wild. Staying in the Northwest for my 4th seed, I have the Vancouver Canucks. I have the Nashville Predators at 5 from the Central. I have the Sharks and the Coyotes out of the Pacific at 6 and 7. Sharks at 6, Coyotes at 7, and finishing those out with my surprise pick that I'm still kicking myself for, the Oilers at 8. All right. Thank you for still listening to In the Crease with Karl Moeglein. We will be right back after this short break, but then I'm going to preview all the awards for the upcoming season. Thank you for still listening. Hi, and welcome back to In the Crease with Karl Moeglein. And we are continuing on our preview of the upcoming 2013 NHL season. You know what I'm kind of wondering? Will they call it the 2012-2013 season? I mean, this didn't happen in 2013. I mean, in 2012, but, you know, to keep, like, the order when you look at the standings. I don't know. They might not. They probably won't. But they probably will, because they're the NHL. They're kind of weird. It's Bettman. Alright, now we're going to look at the awards. The Hart Memorial Trophy. This is the most valuable player in the National Hockey League. And this is voted on by the Writers Association. Alright, I have Steven Stamkos taking this trophy. The thing is, he's going to score a lot. And he's going to get some assists. And he'll be up top in points. The one reason he might not win this, and he still will be the best player, and Malkin will win it if he doesn't, is that Stamkos is not going to make a playoff team. And that sometimes goes on the writers. I don't get why. Alright, now down to the Lady Byng. This is the Sportsmanship and Gentlemanly Conduct Award. One of those awards that's kind of like the guy the players like. And this is also voted on by the Writers Association. My pick is Jordan Eberle. He was 3rd in last year's voting. He's a great player, low penalty minutes, good guy. He's out of Edmonton with the Oilers. Excuse me. Down to the Vezina. This is the best goaltender in the NHL. The general managers actually vote on this one, which means it's a little different. I have Jonathan Quick taking this trophy. He had a great season last year. He didn't win it, but I think now that all the managers have seen him in the playoffs, they'll like him. They'll pick him. He'll win the Vezina. Enough said. Down to the Calder Memorial Trophy. It's the best rookie, which means it's sometimes harder to pick because you just don't know who's going to come out. I like Nail Yakupov. He was the first pick. He's a great player. He played in the U.S. for a long time for the Sarnia Sting in the OHL. And he's a great player. I feel like it's going to help him compared to the other Europeans who'd never played in the junior hockey to come play here because he knows the style now. And I think that's really going to help him as he looks to take the Rookie of the Year for the Oilers, who I have making the playoffs, who I'm still kicking myself for. Well, yeah, you get the idea. All right, the Art Ross is the player that leads the league in regular season scoring. I would like to clarify one thing for those who do not know hockey as well. Most points does not mean most goals. It's most goals and most assists. I'm just saying. All right, Evgeny Malkin is my pick for this. He scores quite a bit of goals. He seems to, and he also assists. That's the difference between him and my Rocket Richard Trophy winner, Steven Stamkos, who's just going to score a ton. And by a ton, I mean 60 or so, which is crazy by today's standards. All right, down to the Norris Trophy. This is an interesting player I picked. Last year, he lost to Erik Karlsson by 12. The year before, he lost by 9 to Nicholas Lidstrom. This is a man playing for the Nashville Predators. Please welcome Shea Weber. He's a great defenseman. He's going to carry his team to the playoffs. he scores enough, so people vote for him, but he's a good enough defenseman that he's not just a forward. That makes sense, and that's why he wins my trophy for him. Alright, the Jack Adams Award. This is the coach's trophy, and this is, I'm going to pick a coach, Mike Yao. He is for the Minnesota Wild, and because I have that team making the playoffs at the number 2 seed, and that last year the Blues coach Mike Hitchcock got the award after he took the Blues. He took the Blues from an 11 seed to a 2 seed. I see the similarity because the Wild were 12 last year. So I feel like that is kind of the way they're going to vote. They're going to tend to take the team that was the worst last year and who had the best improvement. And that's kind of how they got to go with it. Alright, for my final award, the Selke Trophy, which is it's the person who, this is a quote, demonstrates a high level in the defensive aspect of the game, who is a forward. This is a Raiders award. Alright, I got Pavel Datsyuk. He hasn't won in 2 years, but he's won it 3 or 4 times. He's really just kind of perennial at this. Now he's the captain of his team. They'll like him. Voters like him. Makes sense. Alright. I only have a little bit left, but before we get there, I think we should take a quick commercial break. See ya. And hello, and welcome back to In the Crease with Karl Moeglein. Yay. That's always a good thing. Alrighty. To close out my show, I'm just going to take a quick pick for my Stanley Cup Finals playoff winners. Alright, I have, out of the Eastern Conference, in the Northeast Division, the number 2 seed, Ottawa Senators. Good team. Love them. We already talked about this. But they're going to lose in 6 games, to the number 1 seed out of the Western Conference, Central Division, the St. Louis Blues. And this is my pick for the Stanley Cup winner, the St. Louis Blues. I really like this team. They have good goaltending. They have 2 good goaltenders who share time and still win. This is crazy, but it's working for them. So I'm going to let them go. They were the 2 seed last year. They'll be the 1 seed this year. They're going to win the President's Cup. They're going to win the Stanley Cup. And Canada will lose another Stanley Cup Finals. It's going to be great. Alright, that's going to be it for me here in the Crease with Karl Moeglein. I'm still Karl Moeglein. Please leave any comments you have. And go find us on Twitter under National Sports, as well as go find us on Facebook, also at National Sports. This has been Karl Moeglein for National Sports on Spreaker.com. Thanks for listening. Good night.